It's not mind control. It's diplomacy with emphasis. That was the official phrase used by the Varn Dominion. Captain Samara Idris didn't buy at the moment the Varn delegate's third eyelid failed to blink in sync with the first two. It was a tell, subtle, sure, but she led enough Black Ops' first contacts to know when something was wrong. And wrong didn't even begin to cover the way the air had shifted since the Varn had graciously offered to host this summit aboard their orbital station. They said it was neutral ground. It was anything but. She glanced sideways at her team. Seated around a semicircular table meant to evoke harmony, it looked more like a surgical arena. To her left, Dr. Ravi Mehta fidgeted with his glasses. Even though they were augmented reality implants, probably reprogramming them mid-meeting as usual. Ravi was a genius at the intersection of neuroscience and engineering, an exact kind of brilliant mess Sam had come to depend on. To her right, Lena Park sat ramrod straight, as if sheer posture could compensate for the madness unraveling around them. The young linguist-turned-diplomat radiated earnestness like a solar flare, despite her visible unease. She hadn't stopped glancing at the Varn representatives since the meeting began, and behind them, Trix Delaney, boots on the table, chewing something suspiciously loud and probably not regulation. Their wild card, explosives expert, chaos incarnate. If there was a button marked "Do Not Press," Trix had already pressed it twice and maybe put glitter in the casing. The Varn envoy, High Executor Zilvith, rose to its full height, an intimidating creature wrapped in coils of iridescent flesh and glistening armor. Its voice was silken low, and somehow touched the base of the human spine in a way Sam did not enjoy. "This union marks the dawn of a new galactic order," it said, "one united by shared purpose. Resistance is unnecessary, because soon resistance will be unthinkable." There was a soft hum, faint but growing, like a subsonic frequency pressing at the edges of consciousness. That's when it happened. All around the chamber, representatives from a dozen alien civilizations froze. Their postures slackened. Their eyes glazed over, breath slowed. One by one, they fell into eerie, unnatural stillness. Ravi blinked. Is it just me, or—" "Nope. Definitely not just you," Sam muttered. Trix snorted. "So mind control, classic, real original." Sam hissed, "Shut up. Don't let them know we're not affected." Lena's lips parted, horror blooming. They didn't even warn us. This was a trap. Every delegate, every race, they just flipped them off like a light switch. Ravi's eyes darted between species, reading vitals through his implants. Their brain waves are syncing to a shared frequency. It's like the Varn are jacking into a network of docility, neural entrainment at a planetary scale. "And why?" Sam asked quietly. "Aren't we part of that network?" Trix raised a hand. "Because we're special." Ravi winced. "More likely, we're immune due to unpredictable neuropatterning. Human brains are wildly erratic, constantly shifting between cognitive states. It's not just culture, it's our hardware. They built a universal remote," Lena whispered, "and we're not on the channel." Sam stood slowly, mimicking the controlled movements of the frozen diplomats. "From now on, we're mind-controlled too. Ravi, play dead smart. Lena, not a lot. Trix, try not to be yourself." "No promises," Trix replied, smirking. Zilvith moved to the center of the room, basking in the stillness like a conductor before an orchestra. "You will all return to your home systems and enact the integration protocols. Begin by eliminating all local dissidents. We will transmit neural reinforcement packages to ensure obedience." Sam kept her face blank, but her pulse surged. That wasn't diplomacy. That was conquest. Back in their assigned quarters, guarded but not locked, because why bother guarding the mindless? Sam let the door slide shut and exhaled hard. "Well," she said, "we're humanity's last line of defense." Again. Ravi slumped into a chair, pulling a small scanner from his belt. "I recorded the frequency. It's elegant, actually. Each pulse syncs to species-specific resonance windows. It adapts in real time. They've had decades, maybe centuries, to refine this. So why didn't they test it on us before the big show?" Lena asked. "They probably did. And we just looked Weird. Broken. Unreadable, Ravi replied. Trix grinned. Score 1 for our dumb meat brains. Sam turned to face them all. Okay, we need a plan. We fake obedience while sabotaging this operation from the inside. Ravi, find a way to block or reverse the signal. Lena, dig into their language. Maybe there's a weakness in their phrasing, something that matters to them. Trix, distractions and controlled explosions? Trix offered. Exactly. No uncontrolled ones. I make no promises. Sam cracked a thin smile. Outside their room, the corridor echoed with the perfect footsteps of the newly obedient. A galaxy's worth of willpower had been shut off like a light, and somewhere in that engineered silence, for humans plotted rebellion. It wasn't the first time humanity had been underestimated. It wouldn't be the last. So let me get this straight, Trix said, poking her head out a ceiling panel. We're pretending to be mindless while actively dismantling an empire? Correct, Sam replied flatly. 10 out of 10. Love it. It had been 3 days since the summit turned into an interstellar hostage situation. The Varn's integration protocols had taken hold across half the station. Sam and her crew moved like actors in a twisted stage play, mimicking vacant obedience, syncing their movements to the lull of manipulated masses. Only behind closed doors did reality snap back into focus. Sam paced their temporary quarters. Walls too sleek, lights too bright, silence too heavy. We need to know how far this mind control field extends. If it's limited to the station, we might have a chance to isolate and destroy the transmitter. Ravi sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by scavenged Varn tech, some of it blinking ominously. I've been listening to the pulse. It's elegant, yes, but not infallible. There's latency, and the signal weakens around heavy electromagnetic shielding. I think I can create a localized disruptor. That would wake up others? Lena asked, voice tinged with hope. In theory, Ravi replied, but the species affected may not transition smoothly. Their brains have been forcibly restructured into compliance. A sudden snapback could cause psychosis, or worse. Trix popped out of the ceiling, landing with a soft thump. So, definitely do it, but with flair and plausible deniability. Got it. Sam pinched the bridge of her nose. I need recon. Trix, you're with me. Ravi, build that prototype. Lena, I've been studying their language. Lena interrupted. There are inconsistencies in their ceremonial phrasing. They use metaphors that shift depending on audience species, meaning they're tailoring their commands to cultural vulnerabilities. Which means they're not just brute-forcing control, Sam murmured. They're manipulating belief, culture, identity. They're colonizing the soul, Lena said. The room went still. They made their first move in the station's central concourse, once a vibrant space of interstellar exchange, now eerily silent. Dozens of species milled about in slow, synchronized movements, like fish caught in an invisible current. Sam and Trix strolled past the crowd with the blank expressions they practiced to unnerving perfection. They reached a control junction behind a market stall. Trix leaned against it, shielding Sam as she quietly installed a sliver of Ravi's makeshift sensor. Come on, sweetheart, Trix whispered to the device. Tell Mama where the bad guys keep their toys. Stop flirting with the tech, Sam muttered. Trix winked. You're just jealous it listens to me. The sensor pulsed green. A map flickered onto Sam's wrist display, outlining relay towers, signal pathways, and one core hub buried beneath the station's command level. Jackpot. Let's go. I want Ravi to see this before the Varn change the signal again. But as they turned, a Varn sentinel blocked their path. 7 feet of armor and bioluminescent menace. It tilted its head, mandibles twitching. Sam kept her face placid. Trix didn't. Oh no, she said loudly in mock monotone. A superior. I feel compelled to obey. Beep boop. Sam wanted to strangle her. The sentinel stepped closer. Its eye stalks retracted, analyzing. Sam made a decision. She dropped to one knee. Glory to the Dominion, she said, tone hollow. Trix stared at her, then followed suit. The sentinel lingered. 1 second. 2. Then it turned and walked away. They stood slowly. Okay, Trix whispered. That was close. Sam's eyes stayed on the Sentinel as it disappeared into the crowd. They're testing us now, watching for breaks in behavior. Let's give them a show, Trix said. They want mindless? I could do mindless great. Back in their quarters, Robbie's disruptor prototype sparked, fizzed, and promptly caught fire. Progress. Sam asked dryly. I'd say Prototype Alpha needs a rethink, Robbie said, smothering the flames. But I've got the frequency modulation. I can isolate it now. We just need a delivery system. Something discreet, Lena said. Small, adaptable. Like music. Sam blinked. Come again. The Varn embed control commands in tones and rhythms. What if we reverse it? Use their own method to spread dissidence. A song that wakes people up? Trix said, perking up. A rebel anthem? More like a subliminal counterpulse hidden in sound. Recoded into everyday noise, Lena clarified. Sam nodded slowly. We could use the station's announcement systems. Robbie, you build the signal. Lena, encode it. Trix, start mapping access panels near relay points. We move in 2 days. 2? Robbie asked. We're going to need time to test it. And we'll need help. We're not the only minds trapped in here. Their first candidate was a Corellian translator named Voza, whose glazed stare hadn't shifted in days, until Lena approached, softly humming a Varn ceremonial refrain, with subtle changes in tone, intonation, rhythm. Voza blinked, twitched, and then spoke. What, where? Sam caught her before she fell. It's okay, she said. You're not alone anymore. The awakening wasn't clean. Voza cried, rage, laughed hysterically, but she knew things. Hidden control centers, phrase triggers, secret back channels. We can use this, Robbie whispered. It worked. They could wake the galaxy, one melody at a time. In the quiet hours before their next move, Sam watched her crew sleep. Robbie curled in a nest of tech, his fingers twitching with phantom code. Lena murmured lyrics in her sleep. Trix snored like a chainsaw. And Voza, newly freed, slept curled in a fetal ball, clutching Lena's hand like a lifeline. Sam didn't sleep. She stood watch, because somewhere, deep in the station's core, the Varn were still transmitting obedience. And the humans, they were just getting started. Everyone clear on the plan? Sam asked. No one responded. Trix was upside down, strapping explosives to a plumbing duct. Robbie was muttering equations into his AR interface, while visibly sweating. Lena stood rigid, clutching the audio disruptor like it might dissolve in her hands. Voza, newly awakened and still brittle from mental captivity, stood with haunted eyes, but steady legs. Sam sighed. Right. So, no. They were deep beneath the Varn station, buried in a sublevel meant for maintenance drones and ignored by guards. It was the only place left where they could speak without risk of psychic eavesdropping. The plan was reckless, stitched together from desperation and spare parts. But it was a plan. Repeat after me, Sam said, kneeling beside the makeshift schematic on the floor. Step 1. Ravi and Trix infiltrate the relay node. Trix plants the package. Ravi uploads a counter-frequency into the signal stream. Trix saluted upside down. With style. Step 2. Sam continued. Lena and I reach the central broadcast tower. We plug in the secondary disruptor. Let the message ride the station-wide network. And step 3? Ravi asked without looking up. Sam met his eyes. We survive. The corridors near the relay node were warmer. Power ran thick here, bleeding heat through plated walls. It made Ravi sweat more than usual, though Trix claimed it gave the place a real sound meets death vibe. You're shaking, Trix said, half laughing. I'm lugging a device cobbled together from alien tech and half a blender. Of course I'm shaking. Relax, she said. Worst case, you vaporize half the station. That's not comforting. Trix knelt beside the relay security panel. She'd pried open a maintenance shaft 2 days ago and left it rigged. Now it only took a tap and a whispered, "Thank you," past me, before the panel hissed open. Inside, the signal pulsed, visible to Ravi's augmented lenses as waves of coded light. You really think this'll work? Trix asked. I think we're the only ones weird enough to try. He slotted the drive. The relay hummed, then flickered. A low whine began, building fast. Time to go, Ravi shouted. Trix planted the bomb with one last dramatic flourish, muttered, bless this mess, and dragged him back into the shaft just as the relay shorted. Not exploding, but sending a rippling disruption to the station's neural field. Across the station, people stirred. Eyes blinked, shoulders tensed. Moments of lucidity cracked through the haze. And the Varn noticed. Sam and Lena were already moving. They reached the broadcast tower at the heart of the command level, an obsidian spire lined with luminescent code. Sam took out the last two sentinels with quick, silent strikes. Lena bypassed the terminal lock with frightening calm. Sam handed her the disruptor. You sure you want to do this? Lena looked up. They're not just controlling thoughts. They're erasing dreams. I have to. She connected the device. Give them something to remember, Sam said. Lena closed her eyes and whispered in a cadence carefully designed. You are not silent. You are not still. Wake up. Wake up. The stars are waiting. The message pulsed outward, riding the Varn's own infrastructure. Not a speech. Not an alarm. A song. It slipped into minds of the enslaved like dawn through curtains. Gentle, impossible to ignore. They stirred. Some collapsed. Others screamed. But many, many began to remember who they were. The Varn retaliated instantly. Sirens wailed. The lighting shifted to combat red. Synthetic soldiers poured through bulkheads. In the relay shaft, Trix and Ravi were pinned down by a Varn hunter drone, all jagged limbs and searing plasma. Ravi clutched a sparking panel, trying to reroute power from a live wire. Can you build a miracle faster? Trix snapped, dodging a blast. I'm trying. It doesn't want to, integrate. Here's a thought. Trix shouted, pulling a pin from a tiny canister. Buy us some time the old-fashioned way. She hurled the grenade and tackled Ravi as the shockwave rocked the shaft. When they stood, the drone was in pieces. You are chaos incarnate, Ravi muttered. You say that like it's a bad thing. Sam and Lena didn't fare better. The tower's upper level erupted with fire as Varn enforcers descended. Sam shot out a ceiling brace, sending a panel crashing down on one attacker. Lena ducked and rolled, narrowly avoiding a beam that seared the air an inch from her ear. They reached the final node, but it was already locked down. They're rerouting the signal. Lena yelled. Sam threw her rifle to the ground, pulled out a blade, and slashed a bundle of fiber conduits. Sparks rained. If we can't use it, she growled. Neither can they. Lena finished the phrase, muttering one last refrain into her disruptor's mic. The signal surged, then exploded outward in a blinding wave. Across the station, thousands dropped to their knees. No longer asleep, no longer bound. Awake, the Varn commander, High Executor Zilvith, stood in the central sanctum, mandibles twitching with rage. Impossible, it hissed. The humans, those fragile, chaotic creatures, had done what entire empires could not. They had unraveled a control, web centuries in the making. Summoned reinforcements. It ordered, but the technician addressed only stared, eyes no longer clouded. Why? The alien whispered. Why should we obey you now? Zilvith froze. The signal wasn't just broken. The idea of obedience was gone. Later, in a makeshift medbay cobbled together by freed engineers, Robbie stitched up a gash on Sam's shoulder while muttering about sterilization standards. Lena slept curled on a bench, one hand still clutching her transmitter. Trix was telling half-true stories to an enthralled crowd of newly liberated beings. Sam sipped something hot, bitter, and probably not safe. Voza stood beside her, still shaking, still silent. They're leaving, she said at last. The Varn? Sam asked. Voza nodded. They've lost the station. The signal net collapsed across 6 systems. Entire sectors are waking up. And us? Sam asked. Voza smiled, faint and unsure. They're calling you the Discord-born, the unbound minds. So I want to follow you. Sam shook her head. We're not leaders. We're just human. Exactly, Voza replied. In the corridor beyond, the lights flickered back to their natural hue. Somewhere deep in the still humming core of the station, a pulse remained, a soft beat, not a command, but a memory. And the humans, they were already planning what came next. The station no longer pulsed with obedience. It hummed with purpose. 2 weeks had passed since the counter-signal shattered the Varn's psychic grip, and the place had transformed from a hollow cathedral conformity into a chaotic hub of rebuilding. The walkways echoed with alien tongues, some jubilant, some grieving, all finally free. In what had once been the central command chamber, Sam now stood before a jury of recently liberated diplomats and resistance leaders. Her uniform was patched, her sleeves rolled up, and her patience wearing thin. "No," she said again. "You've already proven yourselves capable," insisted the Tolraxian delegate, his feathery tendrils fluttering. "The galaxy needs leadership, direction. You've earned authority." Sam leaned on the table. "I didn't free your minds so I could own them." Murmurs rippled around the chamber. Even Voza, seated behind Sam as part of the advisory council, looked torn. Trix wandered in late, sipping something neon from a cup that was probably illegal. "What's the debate? Are we ruling the galaxy yet?" Sam glared. "They want to form a centralized resistance council, with humans in charge." "Oh," Trix said. "Tell them no. That's a terrible idea." The Tolraxian sputtered. "Why?" "Because you think we're clever," Trix said, slumping into a seat. "But we're just weird. We survive because we don't make sense. You can't standardize us. You'd break the mold." "She's right," Lena said, stepping forward. Her posture was straighter now, her voice clearer. The Varn controlled through predictability, through systems, through logic. You want to avoid that trap? Don't centralize chaos. There was silence, and then, slowly, heads nodded. Later, the team gathered on a balcony overlooking the hangar, where ships once parked in neat obedience now clustered like flocks of migrating birds, some sleek, others patched with scrap, all eager to leave. Lena sat cross-legged on a crate, fiddling with new prototype speaker Ravi had given her. "It'll play the signal on a delay," he explained. "Just enough to remind people without forcing anything. Songs of freedom, on loop," she murmured. "Poetic." "I aim to please," Ravi said, though his eyes were dark with fatigue. Trix leaned over the railing, watching crews work below. "So what now?" "We walk away, let the galaxy figure it out." Sam nodded. "That's the point. We gave them the key. The door's open." "We could do more," Voza said softly. "Help others. There are still systems in thrall. Pocket regimes trying to restore the old control. We could be a signal, moving from place to place." "An echo," Lena said. "A virus," Ravi added. "A traveling band of unruly humans stirring up rebellion across the stars." Trix grinned. "Say no more. I'm in." They left the station quietly. No grand speeches. No fireworks. Just a loading ramp, a battered ship, and a course charted by instinct more than intel. The ship, barely space-worthy, was christened the Subtle Disaster, courtesy of Trix's poetic streak. It wheezed into orbit with a rumble that could only be described as aggressive optimism. In the command seat, Sam looked out over the viewport as the station grew smaller behind them. "You think they'll be okay?" she asked. "They're scared," Lena said from her console. "But they're thinking again. That's the hard part." Ravi chimed in. "I left behind blueprints for the disruptor. Just enough to replicate it. If they get creative." "You gave the galaxy a DIY rebellion kit." Trix snorted. "Nice." Sam smiled. For once, it wasn't weary. Their first stop was a fringe world the Varn hadn't yet abandoned. Velcorta, a mining planet held in stasis by an automated control grid. No enforcers, just machines and old programming. The inhabitants moved in eerie routines, unaware of their own imprisonment. They landed in the dead of night. Ravi deployed the speakers. Lena hummed a new variation of the signal, and Trix climbed a comms tower just to paint a rude mural visible from orbit. By sunrise, the planet's people were blinking into awareness, and a riot had already begun in the administrative plaza. The team was gone before local security even noticed. They became a rumor, In border towns and backwater moons, tales spread of a ship crewed by chaotic minds immune to control, ghosts who stir revolution and vanish before dawn. Some said they were former slaves. Others called a myth, sent by old gods to punish the overreaching. Their anthem, a fractured melody that wove through dreams, was picked up in fragments by pirate broadcasters and smuggled onto corrupted data streams. You are not silent. You are not still. Wake up. Wake up. The stars are waiting. One night, alone on the bridge, Sam watched a new world turn slowly beneath them. She heard footsteps and didn't turn. You still thinking about the station? Lena asked, offering her a warm cup. Always. We did enough. Lena shrugged. We didn't fix everything. Just made it harder to stay broken. I'll take that, Sam said. Below them, lights flickered across a continent. Tiny rebellions of illumination piercing the dark. In the cramped mess hall, Trix was teaching a gangly, newly liberated alien how to cheat at poker. Ravi was halfway through explaining entropy in metaphor form, using noodles. Voza sat near the wall, drawing patterns from memory, maps of a galaxy still full of quiet prisoners. And in the corner, Lena played a quiet tune from the speaker. Soft, steady, stubborn. The melody wasn't beautiful, but it was free.